Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2, and today we're doing another exotic retrospective video. Now, the goal of these videos is to look back at how drastically some of the Division 2's exotics have changed and evolved over time. I did a first trial run in this series on the Pestilence a few months back, highly encourage you check that one out if you have not, I will link it down below. But today, we're following up with another exotic weapon, one that I think you all knew was coming. I got several requests for it in the comments of that video. It also just happens to be my favorite exotic in the Division 2. That's right, we're talking about the Eagle Bearer. Today we're going to be looking at the rise, fall, and current status of what was once considered the strongest exotic in the game. So, it should be a good time. If you enjoyed this video and you don't want to miss out on my future Division 2 coverage, then be sure to subscribe. Major shout out and thank you to our channel members. It's your support that allows me to branch out and try some more fun, wacky ideas like these, so thank you so much for that. But, you know the drill, let's wind that clock back to 2019. In the early days of the Division 2, the franchise had never quite seen an ultra rare or pinnacle exotic item. Despite the division drawing pretty heavily at times inspiration from the MMO genre, it really didn't have its version of the Warglaives of Azeroth from WoW or the Vex Mythoclast from Destiny. We'd had rare RNG drops for sure, like with the Midas in the Division 1's early days.
It's level 22 and then it You go what?
I got the Midas!
But given that the Division 1 never had any raids or really challenging dungeon-like content, we just never had that tier of rare loot, but that changed with the Division 2. Introduced in Title Update 3 in May of 2019, the franchise's first ever raid released with Operation Dark Hours. And the pinnacle reward of that raid, you guessed it, was the Eagle Bearer. Now, it still was not quite as rare as some of the Division's MMO counterparts would historically have made it, but it was still elusive, right? It had a 1% drop chance anytime you defeated a boss within the raid, and then a 10% chance from the final weekly chest. And players who were lucky enough to reap the franchise's first true pinnacle exotic, they certainly felt the reward. The OG Eagle Bearer was a monster.
Oh, moment of truth. I have 4. Let's go!
I have 4.
So, back then, as all weapons under Gear 1.0 did, its talent came in 3 parts, and it read as follows. Firstly, you had Eagle's Strike. Accuracy increases as you continually fire, up to 100%. Headshot kills grant 100% reload speed, 35% damage, and the tenacity buff for 10 seconds. The strength of tenacity is increased by 1% for body shots and 5% for headshots. Next, you had tenacity. 20 to 80% of damage taken is delayed until the buff expires. All of the total delay damage is reduced for each enemy killed while the buff is active, up to 100% with 5 kills. And finally, you then had Protected Fire. While holstered, gain 10% bonus armor while firing your current weapon. So the Eagle Bearer had a lot going for it, one of its biggest boons being that reload and damage buff for such an easy trigger, right? You just needed 1 headshot kill. It also helped that the EB was based off of the P416 model and archetype, which at the time was one of, if not the best weapons to run in the game for its current sandbox. And so in total, this led the Eagle Bearer to quickly becoming a community favorite weapon across both PvE and PvP. If you mix insanely good stats with a powerful talent in the right hands, that's gonna get you a meta-defining exotic. And that's exactly what it did. From its introduction throughout 2019 and into 2020, the Eagle Bearer reigned supreme. One attempt was made to balance the weapon out that came in Title Update 6 in the back half of 2019, but in many ways this actually buffed the gun more. Its base damage was reduced by 15% to shave off some of its lethality. However, the talent got buffed. That 35% bonus damage got increased to 50 in PvE only. The minimum delayed damage threshold got increased, and the total kills needed to negate that damage decreased. So regardless of when you're talking about, if there is one weapon that defined the Division 2's Year 1 meta, it was undeniably the Eagle Bearer. That takes us to Title Update 8 and the launch of Warlords of New York in March of 2020. Like a lot of other exotics, the Eagle Bearer received some big changes alongside the propulsion into Gear 2.0. Now, for a lot of players, this was the day that the Eagle Bearer died. I wish I was being dramatic. In essence, its talent identity remained the same, but some key aspects got removed. Notably, that 100% reload speed bonus, that 50% damage bonus, those were gone. The accuracy bonus also got reduced to 30% from the previous 100. However, the tenacity bonus timer got extended to 15 seconds instead of the previous 10. So, for a gun that used to offer buffs of all types upon headshot kills, the emphasis here really shifted to the damage mitigation fantasy, pulling back on a lot of that damage potential. It is important to note that while it was claimed that this nerf only occurred due to the Eagle Bearer's PvP performance, it also dominated the PvE meta throughout year one heavily. The devs themselves said this at the time, so that was a big influence on their decision. But yeah, some agents have never forgiven the devs for this nerf. And while of course the gun has never again reached the heights that it had back in year one thing that I love about the Eagle Bearer is that it always has remained quite powerful in the right hands. The ability to take up to 80% reduced damage and then potentially negate 100% of that delayed damage in the right scenarios is a one-of-a-kind talent, and that's shown through even after its nerf. It's nowhere near what it once was, let me be clear, but it is still a top pick in capable hands. But in many ways, this is where the Eagle Bearer's story ends. In the past 18 months, from when I'm making this video, it has actually been buffed twice for the first time in years. It received 2 separate RPM buffs totaling 100 additional rate of fire. It also saw its crit mods buffed, enhancing total damage. But really, ever since that rework back in 2020, it has remained a pretty steady weapon in terms of viability. It is widely considered a niche pick, but it has its fans, myself included. It's also worth noting that after years of requests, its raid exclusivity has been minorly walked back, starting with Season 11 back in 2023, an ultra-rare 0.0024% drop chance was added for the gun in the Dark Zone, alongside the Ravenous and Bighorn. It is a drop rate so rare that even an avid Dark Zone player like myself only saw it for the first time this year, 2 years after it was implemented. It's also popped up in the more recently added stretch goals feature, sharing a similarly slim drop chance from end-of-season farming caches. But despite those tweaks to the drop tables, and despite the controversy this weapon delivered over the years, I think the Eagle Bearer will always be remembered as the Division 2's original, pinnacle, raid exotic, and one that has slain many an NPC and agent alike across its lifetime. So, with that, we conclude the history of the Eagle Bearer Exotic AR. That's all I've got, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this retrospective and look back at one of the Division 2's most iconic exotics. I very much enjoyed making this video, particularly because the Eagle Bearer is my favorite weapon and exotic in the game. So, if you made it all the way through, thank you so much for watching. I'm still looking for any feedback you may have about this series and idea overall, whether you watched both this video and the previous Pestilence one, or just this one. Let me know any thoughts you may have. I will absolutely take them to heart. And yeah, that's just about everything I've got for today. Let me know any other exotics or items you think I should make a video like this for in the future. But with that, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold out.